Okay, now I've got my structure put together. This was the hard part. It's not completely put together. There's still a couple things I need to do, and then I get to decorate, and that is the fun part. So here is my structure so far. Notice that I've got this area smoothed out. This area, I've got all the base part kind of, it still looks a little bit scratchy. I could still go in with a little bit of slip on my finger and make it a little bit smoother so it doesn't have so much scratchiness to it. But anyway, I am going to need to fill up some of these gaps in here. Now some of this you could just kind of pinch it together like this. Doop, 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 doop. And it will kind of fill in. But if you can't get it to do that, you could fill in with a tiny little coil, or like I showed you before, you could cut a straight piece from your flat pieces of clay. Oh, there we go. Look at this little snaky wormy guy. He can just go right in there, and then I can just pinch him off where he's too long. There we go. And I'll just turn it to the side here, and then I can use a tool to kind of smooth it in. Now you gotta be really careful on this part because your roof can start to kind of cave in. Now if your roof starts to cave in, that does not mean that you should grab some more clay and slap it on there to try to fill in that gap, because then you might be creating air bubbles, and like we talked about before, you do not want to do that. This one doesn't really need a coil. I can just kind of smooth that down. Now I'm going to start decorating, and I can decide, do I want to have different little doors and openings on there? Do I want to have some windows? Do I want any decorations? What do I want the roof to look like? Do I want to add any trees or bushes? Do I want to have a sidewalk? Do I want some texture for grass? So you can do all of those things very easily. I'm going to show you how to make some texture on your roof. There are some very interesting little, do you remember these stamps? We've used these in the past. If you've been in here for clay before, bless you, we have used these in here before. So this is tricky because you got to press hard enough that the stamp goes into the clay, but you don't want to have your roof cave in. So you just kind of smooth it on a little bit there and see if it worked. Okay, it kind of worked. I can kind of see it, but I don't want to press too hard. So there we go. Get some nice roof texture on there. Okay, it's not showing up a whole lot, but that's fine. You could also take the edge of your little thing here. You can take this little line and you can kind of press that in there, and that can create some different textures for you. Create some different little lines in your roof. There we go. It's kind of interesting. There we go. And then I can attach things on like a chimney. Oh, maybe I'll use this little straight flat piece over here and make it a little bit shorter, and I want to angle it because I want it to be coming off the edge of my roof like this. Take it at an angle. Can I just plop it on there?
No.
What do I need to use?
The clay, right? Yes.
Slip and score. Lots of creative words out there. Okay, there we go. Put that on there, and then make sure you smooth it out with some tools. Get that on there. You can even take another tool and kind of make an opening in the top. Just kind of poke it down in there. And make sure that you smooth out little crumbs and stuff as you go. Now if you want grass, there's some really fun shells and stuff up here. Here's a piece of coral that makes a really interesting texture. Yes, you can use any of these things you want to make texture. Just be careful not to go too deep in your clay with these tools. Some of them will go pretty deep. So there I've got some nice texture on the ground. Now if you were going to make like a tree, notice how it has this tiny little attachment here that would not be very strong to just have a tree sticking off of the surface of your clay. It would probably fall off. Even if it stays right now, it'll probably fall off and go rolling down out of the kiln like a meatball on the top of your spaghetti. So don't be doing that. Make sure that you have it attached to the side of your structure as well. See how I've got 2 points now that it's attached to? It's attached here and it's attached here. So you make sure that that's really gonna stay on there. I made this one the other day and look at this. I already have a little bush that came off. So now it's too late to attach it because it's too dry. Would you like to be able to cut openings in your clay?
Yes.
Okay, so here's how you do that. You can turn your clay to the side, but you don't have to hold it up like this. I'm just gonna hold it up so you can see what's going on. You can just kind of take a cutting tool and go into the side of your clay like this, and then cut across, and then you can kind of use that cutting tool to scoop the clay out like that. There we go. And then just, yep, you could, but make sure that you don't have too big of openings because you still need a lot of sides that are nice and strong to hold your structure together. So if you get too crazy with the openings, your whole structure might crumble. So be careful with that. Now you could take this piece and you could stick it on so it looks like the door is open or something like that. Now my favorite way to make windows is to take the skinny end of one of these cutting tools like this and just poke it into the clay a little bit and then pull down and then remove it, and it leaves like this little ledge there. Can you see that? A little ledge. And then I just kind of go through and do a bunch of those, and then they kind of stay on there and they look like little edges of windows. Now you could draw things on there too. You can use this drawing tool that's a stylus. There's some toothpicks up here. There's lots of fun ways to decorate your structure. Just make sure that you get everything attached really well so that your roof doesn't fall off, your sides don't collapse. Make sure that things are structurally sound. You don't want your building falling apart. Okay, go ahead and get back to work. Now, if you do not cut an opening into your clay project like I have, I will put a hole in the bottom for air to get out of the inside of your structure, because essentially you've got one big air bubble there. If you close off all of the walls and there's a bunch of air inside. So if you know that there is an air pocket inside of somewhere else other than just your structure, like say you have 2 levels or something, make sure that you tell me where you need a hole and I can do that discreetly. I'll try to hide it so that it doesn't mess up the look of your work. Also, I'm coming around and putting people's names and class code on the bottom of their work with a toothpick. Please let me write it so that I can read my own handwriting. And then if you are completely done with everything, you can bring your work up to the cart, check it over for any crumbs or cracks that you want to smooth away, because those will stay there even after firing. They will not melt away, they will not disappear on their own, they will not burn off in the kiln. You will have those crumbs and cracks still when it comes back to you, and they will be hardened in place. Now, if you want to, you can take your extra clay, if you're all the way done, and you can pack it together, just a little bit of it, like a golf ball sized amount, like I'm doing in my hands now. You don't have to do this right now, but if you want to, you can take your extra clay, roll some of it, not all of it, into a ball, and you can make a pinch pot. Make sure you smooth out cracks and everything like that. If you want to know how to make a pinch pot, here it goes. You smooth it out, make a nice smooth ball, and then you take your thumb and you just press it in there like that. And it's not done yet. It's not done. Because this is the part where you pinch it. That's why it's called a pinch pot. You go pinch, pinch, pinch. As you turn your pot, you turn it and pinch it, turn it and pinch it, turn it and pinch it. And I've got lots of lovely cracks there. What do I need to do to those? Yep. Some slip on it and smooth it out. I can also decorate this with some different tools that we had for decorating our houses as well. And then I need to check to make sure it will sit flat, because sometimes people make them and they sit like this, sideways on the table. So here's what you can do to make it have a flat area on the bottom, and just take it and kind of tap it down onto the table, and then you can kind of straighten the sides back out again. Make sure you smooth it out. Smooth it out, and then I do need to write your name on that. And then if you get done with that, you can play with your extra clay. We've